I'll say a few, express some of my own thoughts also now. But before that, I wanted to exemplify what Navjyoti has said just now and Darshan Shankarji said earlier, between part and whole. And we have talked of integration. And this example comes to my mind, which Darshan Shankarji was telling me about, I think, 6 months ago. And this example related to how the therapy is tested. And we will see how a partial testing can produce very wrong results. This is my understanding, please correct me if I go wrong anywhere. The conventional method of testing is for a drug. And that drug is also reduced to a few molecules or one molecule, one type of molecule. So you give that molecule and see what is its result. And the Ayurvedic practitioners always objected to this. They were told, no, you're not scientific. They said, but this is your partial, I'm putting words, this is a very partial method of testing. It is not a holistic method of testing. So what is this? What is a holistic method here, which at the same time relates to my life as a patient? Because while theory is good only if it works in practice. So there was this very large experiment that was tried for very different way of testing. This was not about the drug but about the treatment. If you like, protocol. So if a patient comes to you, you give one molecule or you give one drug or you give one kind of a preparation, then you observe, then you do something more, after that you do something else. If that is your treatment, how will you now judge that treatment? Because you are not giving one drug. How will you test efficacy? So this was a large experiment which was done together with, I think, the National Institute of Health USA and the Indian Ayurvedic establishment for arthritis. They said, we want to now test the treatment and not the drug. So at the same time, while treating the treatment, we want to see the protocol rather than individual genius of a doctor. There may be a genius doctor who figures out, and so we are also not testing the genius of an individual, but the protocol of the treatment. And that was done, I think, with a few thousand patients. And the results of that, which are now a milestone, they appeared 6 months ago. And what they showed was that the Ayurvedic treatment was better than the best medicines that were used for treatment of arthritis. To me, this is the example which differentiates between part and whole. We need the part to know how a particular drug might work, but it is not the whole. I want to see my treatment, I want to see my pain to be relieved. That is the whole. So, and what Navjyoti said also, just relates to that. So why was it not done earlier? It was very difficult. It is very difficult to test a protocol. So what do? You test something, you look for something where there is light, like Mullah Nasiruddin. You can test the molecule, so you test it. But the problem is not the molecule, problem is your body problem that you are having. And I think at that level, this is where we should be thinking. I referred to the third era, which has started. To me, the imperative for second era is over. Second era may appear not to be over. More and more people are trying to get more money, and they are driven by their parents, much like the 1900s, when Indians were trying to be like British. They were trying to dress like British. They were trying to eat like British. They were trying to learning to hold fork and a knife like British. And today we are no different. More and more people are trying to get more salary. And if a student who studies, say, get a good salary. But that era is over. Even though this is what appears on the ground. This is what is clear to us today. That this is what is happening. But in my analysis, that era is over. So what would be this new third era? The new third era, which I think, if I can have the liberty to combine what my distinguished panelists have said. This other era is about thinking holistically. It is about self-confidence. It is about removing the slavery of the mind. So we became politically free 1947. If you like, we became economically free in 2010. You may consider that to be an overstatement, but that's what it is. We have become economically, it's no longer the driving force. What is the third thing? We need to be free. Our minds need to be free so that we can relate to our environment, our society, and look for solutions which will work. Theory is as good as its applicability in practice. And a deep theory, therefore, is very good because it tells us something what to do now and later. It is short term and long term. So that is the era that is needed. But coming now, connecting to what Pramati is doing, I think this is a great experiment. And I would come back to these three things: the brain, the heart, and the mind, and the hand. And this integration of all the three is necessary. And I think Gandhiji, when he was saying Nai Talim, this was it. It was not understood by people. But it's a combination of these three. The young children who come to your school, please ensure that all the three come together. And when hand is linked with the brain, then you are rationalizing, you are thinking about how to do something in a given situation. And the hand tells you how to do it. How to carry out what your theory tells you. But this is not enough. I think the central element that is missing today in the education the world over, as it has adopted the Western models, is actually the heart. And this heart relates to what we feel. And education is about liberating and therefore making people who can live a happy life, who can have joy in what they are doing, joy in living, joy in family, joy in society, joy in workplace, wherever they are. And that joy will come only if you connect spirituality. In the sense that what I do, I understand its implications, I am sensitive to its implications. If its implications, how my actions affect society, how my actions affect nature. This is the crisis today, world crisis. This is not Indian crisis. When things fail because there is corruption, it's not a failure of the theory in some sense. When things fail because they are working the way they were supposed to work and then they fail, it's a massive failure. And that is what has happened in the world today. The systems which were designed to work, they seem to be working so well, created first a very large crisis of climate change, destruction of nature. Before that got over, it created the next crisis of economic collapse. But a bigger crisis is breaking of the family. I say two things were done in the West. They split the atom and made the atom bomb. And second thing which is bigger than they split the family. Mother and father separated, living separately. And child growing in that environment. How you have affected the heart of the child. When that child grows up, millions of such children grow up, what are they going to do? What kind of... So that is the failure across the world. The way I look at it, India is still safe. The direction we are going has serious problems. But we have not, toppled. Like the way West has toppled. It has destroyed its family. So the task for us in India is not to save India alone. It is to save the world. And that can be done by a different kind of education which we perhaps had. And this sensitizing of the heart must come early. The first few years, as if you read the Indian theories of education, the child actually learns at home, in a very secure environment of his parents, mother, family. And after that he goes to school to learn other things, to learn about larger society, learn to read, write, etc. And now parents have no time. Joint family is giving way to nuclear family here. And in this setting, it is the heart also must be touched by the school for the very young children. And it should not stop in the school. It should go all the way in higher education. I'll tell you also that some experiments in touching the heart in some ways in higher education are working. They are not, I cannot say they are resounding success, but their impact is visible. In IIIT Hyderabad, we started human values. Course in human values is not to give values. It's to allow the person to discover his heart, to understand, to discover the values which are within. And I think that is the core of spirituality. It is within you that needs to be awakened. And that brought about a change in atmosphere in the institution, in how people related with each other, how they related with their teachers, and also how they relate with their family. It has not yet resulted in a situation where people will say, the jobs, I can now think of alternate careers. If I find other areas to be my calling, they might still go and do the jobs and say, oh, let me earn money for a few years, I will come back. But that will change. Now this actually got replicated. So this started in 2005, 6, 7 years ago. This got replicated 3 years ago in UP Technical University, where the Vice Chancellor said this course will be compulsory for all students in all 700 colleges. And in 400 colleges this is running. 250 colleges it is running now, 250 to 300 colleges. Punjab Technical University, similar thing has started. It is running in 150 colleges from this year. The teacher training program that was undertaken, it was for trying to give them a larger picture of the world, larger picture of society, larger picture of themselves actually. So our education has trained us about outside. Even social science will say outside. Humanities, you look outside. There is no place in education for looking at inside. So one of the goals of this is to look inside. So when you say society, sociology course will tell you how society is divided or not divided, what are the different relationships between different groups and how they unfold, etc. What do you feel about this situation? No, that is outside sociology. Go to economics, it's the same. You go to political science, it's the same. Science, of course, is about physical matter. So, looking inside is missing from education. And this looking inside is what I'm calling the heart, if you like. I've tried to use words which we can all relate to. So this is the part which was brought in, and in UP and Punjab, this is running in 400 colleges today. The teachers who were trained, about 600 teachers were trained. Trained means they go through a 1 week introspective workshop. It's called Jeevan Vidya workshop. And initially when this was started, we had thought there will be 10% success rate. 90% of the teachers will say, no, this is not for me. And success rate is 100% at the end of 1 week. After that, things may go back. But they say, no, this has affected me. I was wondering, I was cursing myself that I had become a teacher. Much larger salary is there in industry. My parent is ill, one of my parent is ill, I have a family responsibility. I could not go to Bangalore, Hyderabad or Delhi to earn these IT salaries. What would that teacher transmit to the child? Stage era 2. Era 2 was, we are poor, we should earn money. That's what he will. And the new society is undergoing a change. There will be a total change, where this is not the driving force anymore. But the same teachers who said this, they said this at the end of 1 week. And this is tens of teachers, literally, who have said the same thing. This is what I used to wonder when I would get a chance to quit and join industry to earn more money. Now I've realized what education is about. This is the thing to do. So it is possible to touch hearts at all ages. And these are teachers who are relatively young, computer science, IT, electronics. As you know, these are all engineering teachers, so 80% of the engineering seats are in these two disciplines. So, and they are less than 35 years of age. So, the hearts can be touched. Prepared hearts can then grow up more holistically. Not only they will create a beautiful society, they themselves will lead a more comfortable and a happy life. So, if we can do this integration, and this is the integration which is possible today, unfortunately, only in very few countries. India being one of them, certainly the largest and a major country. It may also be possible in Bhutan, which has defined a new goal for its society, gross national happiness, not gross domestic product. So this is the situation, and I believe that this is the integration you should attempt. The integration of the brain, the heart and the hand. And naturally, bring in all sources of knowledge. But those sources of knowledge should be for holistic development. It is for that holistic treatment of my disease, not a testing of a molecule on my body. It is for better treatment of my body holistically. What is holistic would also be beneficial. So, if you can do this and draw upon our own tradition, which is very rich in philosophy, in heart, in all, and certainly in health sciences, in Panini, in linguistics, and as we move towards alternate technologies which are not based on fossil fuel, I am sure we'll discover many, many more things. So develop the child who has confidence. If the child has all the three things, confidence comes naturally. You don't have to say, be confident. I am not talking of relative confidence, which comes when one child speaks better English than the other. No. I am talking of absolute confidence. That comes when you connect with yourself. So connecting with yourself with all these three elements would be the key. And I wish you all the success. We'll open it for discussion. I'm sorry.